Hello, my name is Katie Rago, and the cultural group that I chose is the Amish from Pennsylvania and from Ohio. I originally really struggled to pick a topic and a cultural group that I was really interested in because there's so many different ones to pick from. But then I was talking to my cousin who lived in like the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area, and I eventually decided to pick the Amish, and he was telling me a lot of stories about them, and he was really, persuading me that this would be a good cultural group to choose. First, to define what culture is, it is anything like from religion to just like the way that they go about their daily lives, such as the Amish don't have really any technology or anything like that. And I originally really had no knowledge of the Amish group before doing this project. I actually learned about them while I was doing this. And I also was interested in this topic because my senior year we took a field trip to the Dutch House Inn, which is a restaurant where they serve food and it's cooked just by Amish, so they really do know how to cook. The more that I read about them, the more interested that I became, because there's a lot of things and misconceptions that I learned that we have about the Amish that really aren't true. Next, I'm going to go into the background. So the Amish can actually be traced back to Europe, and then eventually we're the Anabaptists, which are known as the Mennonites / Amish. The Mennonites are pretty similar to the Amish, but their leader is known as what is his name? His name is Menno Sims, and that's where the Mennonite is derived from, and he was the leader of the Mennonites. And the Amish leader's name is Jacob Alman, and he came around later than Menno Sims. And Amish people eventually split from the Anabaptists, and they were being prosecuted in Europe by the Catholics, so that's what caused some of them to come to the Pennsylvania, Ohio area. There's other communities throughout the United States, but I'm just focusing mainly on the Ohio, Pennsylvania Amish. The author of Amish history, there was no date for this, stated, quote, "Any Amish and Mennonites accepted William Penn's offer of religious freedom as part of Penn's holy experiment of religious tolerance. They settled in what later became known as Pennsylvania. The first sizable group of Amish arrived in Lancaster County in the 1720s or 1730s," end of quote. And this website was titled Amish History. This shows that a large sum of the Amish really are in this Pennsylvania and Ohio area. That is the background. There are actually a lot of signifiers whether someone is Amish or not. For example, the first thing would obviously be their clothing. They dress in very plain ways, but these plain ways are actually very important to their culture. For example, the females, they never cut their hair, they put it in a bun, and they put a cap over it. A lot of people have the misconception that it's a bonnet, but really it's called a cap, and this is actually tied in with their religion. Next, they have to have their sleeves, they can't be any shorter than elbow length, and their dresses can't be any shorter than 6 inches from their feet, so that's a very strict dress code. As for the males, their hat depends on could depend anything from their social status to, their marital status to their age, everything. The hat's important. And also, the men typically don't have mustaches. They only have beards, and they don't really know this for sure, but it's believed that the European military had mustaches, so that's a big reason why the Amish men do not and why they're against that. Further attitudes, values, and beliefs. When most people think of Amish people, they just automatically think to the bonnets, the buggies, the lack of technology. But these communities, quoted by E.J. Wessner in 2015, quote, "The Amish are Christian by faith, and the purpose of their culture is to strive to practice the daily teachings of the New Testament," end of quote. And this is from Amish America. These people really believe so much in having that good faith and really being sworn into the Bible and that type of lifestyle. And the Amish also believe in uniformity. For example, they all dress so plain because they want religion to be their primary focus. If people are dressing completely different, then there's other like distractions, and religion won't be their main focus, which is what they strive to have. Next, BBC in 2009 stated, quote, "The Amish avoid modern technology not because they want to live ascetic and uncomfortable lives, but to preserve the uniqueness of their way of life," end of quote. And this was on bbcreligion.com. This is like, they don't use technology because they're so sworn in with the Bible that they want those no distractions. Finally, there are a lot of stereotypes and misconceptions about the Amish. The first would be that they're scared of modern technology, and that's why they don't use it. But really, this isn't like the case by any means. That has nothing to do with them being scared of modern technology. This simply has to do with their religion. That same BBC website in 2009 stated, quote, "The Amish way of life grows out of the belief that salvation comes from redeeming strength of living a loving life in a pure community of believers who live in separation from the world," end of quote. And again, that BBC religion website. This means that they're just so intact with the Bible, and they don't want, they don't want that modern lifestyle. They just want to be like intact with the Bible. Next, another misconception would be that Amish use absolutely no technology. Me personally, I had that same misconception. I was under the impression that the Amish really did use no technology, but that's not the case. There's some Amish that it said that they're even accepting to using some sort of technology in the hotels, and they travel in cars even though they're not driving, and some of them even have tractors. It just depends on their community and the beliefs of their typical community that they're in. Finally, the wow moments for me. I actually had a lot of wow moments. The first wow moment for me was when the Amish reach a certain age before they get baptized. They get to go out into the regular world and decide if that's how they want to live. If they decide that they want to live that regular American everyday teenager young adult life, they could make the choice to leave the Amish community, but they're shunned forever. Or what they can also do is then they decide, whoa, this isn't for me, I want to go back to my family, I want to be Amish, and that is when they are eventually baptized and sworn into the Amish community. The next wow moment for me was I learned that the Amish only attend school till 8th grade, which that wasn't really a thought of me. I just assumed that they went, K through 12, just like regular individuals, and graduated in 12th grade, but really they only graduate in 8th grade. And this actually would make sense because a lot of their focus in life is around agricultural needs, cutting down wood. They do things like that, so they really don't need this education. Thank you for watching. I really learned a lot about the Amish, and I'm happy that I picked this topic because now I'm more culturally diverse and I'm not making those same stereotypes and misconceptions that I was previously making about this cultural group. Thank you.